Hello, hello, hello. So this will be part 2 of the young love discussion. So right now I'm actually driving to get some food. So it'll probably be, I'll make this one a little bit quicker in the second half, or actually it'll probably just be another 15-minute segment, just depending on how long it takes for everything. But as we begin to get into this day and age where a lot of the men are distrusting of the women are distrusting of the men, is there a way for us to get back to love being an actual thing, to love being something that, is a catalyst for our human success, or our humanity to exist? When are we going to be able to know that we are doing the right thing by loving? And I feel like a lot of it is coming from what we're told in the media every day, to not care, to not love, to be so selfish that we don't ever really put into perspective the other person's feelings, because if they don't match ours or our agenda, then, well, of course they don't need to be in our life. And that's the problem, is that we don't learn how to compromise. We don't learn how to love one another on an unconditional scale. We believe if this person isn't, this person isn't the same as us, then of course, then it just can't be. But dude, opposites attract. You put the same size of a magnet together, and then what happens? You know what I mean? Like, it goes away. It's not attracted to each other. So why in the sense do you think that you can't be attracted to someone else? Like, that isn't the same as you, that has a different opinion, that sometimes does make you angry. It's like, why is it that we feel like we can't find that in somebody? Or it's not real? And I'm coming to find that as I am growing up and, becoming more of this person that I want to be, the perfect version of myself, that the person that I wanted to spend forever with, the archetype that I wanted to spend forever with, I got. And it wasn't that I wasn't ready for it. It wasn't that I couldn't handle being with that person or anything. I loved every second and moment of it. And it hurts me to this day, and she and I have spoken about it, and we've talked about it, and to this day it still affects me. And it's not that I'm hung up on an ex or anything like that, but when you find the essence and the core of what today most people won't even be able to find out love is, when you're able to actually, obtain that, there's such a detrimental part of you that becomes a ghost when they're gone. You finally feel like you've become whole. And because of, misleading things, distrust, disloyalty, no honesty, like, we feel like we're too busy trying to be who we see on the TV, who we see on Instagram, all these people who are, getting bitches or getting females or men in a plethora, in a large grouping, and it's like, oh, they're so happy, they have to be happy. They have all these people giving them love, but and yet they have a main, and then they have a side, and they have this. And it's like, we don't need the polyamorous way of life. If that's the life you live, that's the life you live, but we don't need to do that just because we see someone else. I feel like that's what's invaded our minds, is that there's some delusional sense of what love is. And that it's not telling you what's real. It's not being blunt with you. It's letting you be comfortable when the person knows that it's not going to be well for them. It's not settling, And a lot of people, they say, well, with a man, as a man, you just got to learn to shut up. You got to learn to let her talk. Let her argue. And I've always been the one to argue back. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, like, I've just never been able to shut up. And then as I learned and realized that, I'm not really arguing for the sake of there being a better, a better resolution. I'm just arguing because, that's my nature, to argue, to want to win. And it shouldn't have been the case with that person. Whether it was my fault or hers, whether it's your fault or theirs, we should be trying to help each other progress, because I don't expect to. It may occur, it may not. And I know that there is others out there, like if she and I are not the one, I know that there is someone else out there, that will be the person who goes above and beyond for me. And vice versa, the same like as I did for her. Maybe it's endorphins that say I don't want that other person. But I do know if she doesn't want me and I have to, or I grow out of her and I have to say, well, then it's time to move on, or it's time to move on. This book's completely closed. There will never be an us. There can never be an us. Then I know from that moment that I must start living in the sake of knowing that person is out there. Knowing that I have to continue on because some things are meant to be lessons, and some things are meant to just be the here and the now, and then become part of the then. Not everything lasts forever. Just because energy never dies and soulmates never die, maybe that these moments are supposed to equip us to be prepared for our soulmate. The humility I was supposed to learn, the patience I was supposed to have, the understanding I was supposed to gain. Or maybe sometimes we're supposed to see it with that person and life just gives us a second go. Some of us, it doesn't give us another at all. Some people end up lonely for the rest of their lives. But then again, are they okay with that? Because they can change that, can't they? If 60 and 70-year-olds can find each other and get married, then why can't we young people understand that we don't have to just be young and experience everything in the world when we can experience everything in the world with somebody else? You can do and have all the sexual ventures that you want with somebody else, with that person, and not just by yourself and trying to figure out, oh, okay, well, I got my list up, I got my, my numbers, I got, I got all this experience, now I'm ready to be with somebody. Well, what happens when you fall with someone who doesn't have any experience, and then they feel with you that they have to play catch up, or they feel insecure, that you have so much experience, or that you've been around so much, and they always feel that jealousy of, am I good enough for them? I'm not like this other person. I'm not like who they had before. I'm not like the person they're bragging about in their stories to their friends of old. What happens when that person starts to feel like they'll never be good enough for you? And I kind of see that's what's going on, is that everyone's trying to play catch up with someone. Everyone's trying to fall for the wrong person, or fall for the wrong reasons, or not trust for the wrong reasons, not open up for the wrong reasons, not allow themselves to truly embrace what love is, to truly embrace who they are. And I can say without a doubt, I know what love is now. I know that if I'm lucky enough to not have to restart and find it with someone else, that I'm blessed. Blessed, of course, with the person who I'm speaking of and speaking to be honest. But also because there's someone else who's feeling the same way as me, and that if I don't have to start over, it would be great. But in the same breath, if that learning experience is what I needed, if I needed that to move on and become stronger as a person, to understand what it feels like to lose love so that I can appreciate it all the more in the end, well, then I guess that I've been blessed as well. Not in the sense that, oh man, like you win some, you lose some, but in the sense of I gained so much from you and that there should never be a moment in my mind that I feel regret, that I feel guilt, because no matter what happened, it taught me a lesson. It taught me what I really wanted. And the thing is we don't know what we want anymore as young people in this generation. You know, we don't know what we want, but yet we want it right now. And that's the conundrum. We ask for all these things. We ask for all these imaginary things, or we set our goals to whatever, you know, the other person's goal that we think is popping, or we think is the one who we should emulate. And we lose sight about what we really want in a person, what we really need out of that perfect person for us. So if we can start honing in on that and actually seeing what it is, and when we make our wishes to the stars, or we say, oh, we want this and want that, realize what that means when you say you want somebody like that. Like when you say you want a Drake, or you want a Rihanna, or you want a Kanye, or you want a Kim K, you got to look and see, do you even know who that person really is? Or are you looking at the outside image? Because the person you really want is someone who's going to take care of you, who's going to be ride or die, who's going to know what the struggle is with you, who's going to build and not just destroy you, who's going to hold you up, not only have to say mean things about you or creative criticism, but also has loving, caring things that outnumber that and supersede that at the highest degree. So why live in the fallacy of not being able to love, or is this young love going to work, and live into the reality and even into the fantasy of, I'm happy because this person is everything I could have imagined and dreamed of, because I did imagine and dream them up. When you keep things realistic, you start to get more realistic results. Because to be honest, I don't want a Kim K. I don't want a Rihanna. I don't want a Beyonce. I don't want a Demi Lovato. I don't want a Selena Gomez. I don't want nothing that I can't build with. If I get lucky and find somebody who is already there and they help me build up, that's amazing. That's great. But I want someone who's going to know what my struggle looked like. Show me what their struggle looked like. Or at least tell me, hey, I was here when you were there. Whether they're my peer group or age group or not. Because at the end of the day, I know that in my heart of hearts, that young love doesn't just have to be puppy love. That love itself doesn't just have to be neglected and discarded because we have moments of weakness. And that isn't to say let someone walk all over you. But know your worth, know their worth, and see what you really want. Know what you want. If you have to write it down, take out a piece of paper and write down what you want in life and what you want out of somebody. And then realize that you don't have to just find who they are now. You don't have to just find them, that rich, blah, blah, blah person right there. It'll be so much better when you help that person become that. And then you're going to find a peace of mind and a peace of heart, knowing that you don't have to keep looking. Because you already put it down, you already put it into the universe, and it's going to give you back what you asked for. But as long as you're asking for something that cannot come to you, all the universe is going to do is keep feeding you the bullshit and keep feeding you what you want. Because what you see and what you want from the TV or the Instagrams, and when you don't really get to meet what that person really is like, you realize that you keep getting the same type of people who are jaded, misguided, who don't really have any sense of self-worth, of self-love. And so they transfer all that negative energy to you. And in turn, you never get what you want. So I want to thank you very much for listening to the segments. I know the first one was a little more of asking internally what's going on and filling in. And this one is a little more, to the bone and to the gristle and the meat of it and everything. And so I'm really happy I got to take this topic, and thank you very much to my brother Wes Yingling for giving me this topic today. I want to thank everybody who's been listening. You've been listening into The Dark Roast with Kai Dorsey, and I'm your host, Kai Dorsey. And thank you for waking the fuck up.